As the Senate campaign heats up, Tavaran candidate Suj Kosi from Elysium joins us for a candid conversation about his plans for the UEE if elected, and what he thinks his victory will mean for the future of all Tavaran.
Ship scanning. Where does the need for security end and our privacy begin? Donald Joseph talks to both sides of this hotly debated issue.
Argent down. If you have teenagers, you've probably been hearing that expression a lot recently. But what does it mean? We'll take a look at Helix, the tradable game that's sweeping the Empire's youth. All that and more on the next Empire Report at 2200 SET. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 52 of Around the Verse. I'm Sandy Gardner.
And I'm Ben Lesnick.
The monthly report went out last week with lots of information about our progress.
Monthly report is one of my absolute favorite things we do here. This is just more information than I think any studio anywhere puts out. You get to hear from the heads of all of our worldwide studios, our outsourcers. It's got an insane amount of detail. Star Citizen is in full swing with Arena Commander 2.0, Star Marine FPS, Persistent Universe, Squadron 42. They're all being developed at once, and the monthly report is the best place to see the nitty-gritty details. Definitely worth the read. We're also doing weekly reports for the Star Marine FPS module until it hits, tracking the various blockers and technical issues that we're facing. Chris put out a letter 2 weeks ago. We put out a report this week, and it really is coming together, and you're gonna watch it happen.
We issued a small Arena Commander patch on Tuesday to add several promised Flare items.
And that is just the first Arena Commander patch. We know a lot of people are probably not interested in Flare items, but we are working on bringing a lot of the content that we've been working on the last 2 months back into the Arena Commander branch, so we can start patching first to the PTU and then to the live servers sooner than later. So there's another Arena Commander patch, which is 1.1.5 in development right now. We will begin external testing very, very soon. It has some long-awaited features, and we hope you enjoy it.
The performance capture shoot for Squadron 42 has just finished shooting, so Chris Roberts will be back here in Santa Monica after a short trip to Foundry 42 and also to our new offices in Frankfurt.
Speaking of Frankfurt, we have new offices in Frankfurt. The folks at Foundry 42 Germany have moved into their new offices, and we will be sharing the footage of that with you very soon. But the word is they're very happy and already hard at work.
Now let's throw it to the spectrum for news from around the verse.
Hi everyone, welcome back to very overcast California today. I'm Darian Borlick.
And I'm Eric Kyron Davis.
And we are here for our weekly update from Santa Monica Cloud Imperium Games. So first thing I want to start with, last week we talked about how we were working on getting and compiling feedback from you guys actually, where our designers Matt, Sherman, and Calix Renault were going into the forums and onto the chat rooms and kind of soliciting to play against them, get some feedback, and we're kind of ready to move on to that next phase. And the next logical step in that is kind of polishing off that feedback, seeing what is applicable, and getting it into the actual test environment, and then we start launching onto our PTU. So you should guys hopefully see an updated version of that with your guys' feedback, and hopefully from there we can gather more feedback from you guys and kind of fine tune it even more. So it's a very logical process, but just wanted to keep you guys updated on that next part since you guys were very much involved in how this balance is happening.
Yeah, and then the other thing that we've been working heavily on are the Merlin and the Scythe.
Ooh.
2 ships. Yeah, we're super excited to get these in your hands, to play around with these things, and just kind of, again, like Darian said, give us your feedback. We're really excited about it. We're in the final stages of art and implementation, and we're almost there. So we're super excited if you guys check out these ships and let us know what you think.
Oh, I'm looking forward to the Scythe.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to the Merlin. Together we'll fly.
Yeah.
In separate ships.
Hand in hand.
Hand in hand.
All right, that's all we've got from Santa Monica. So once again, thank you guys, and see you guys next week.
See ya.
Hey guys, Dave Langlayers here again from Ilphonic, senior producer. Couple things this week. So the sniper rifle, the energy rifle that we have in the game, we're adding a charged shot to that. So if you're scoped in, the longer you stay scoped in and hold down the fire button, the more energy it will release. And so it's sort of a risk reward thing. You know, you can get off a quick shot that won't do a lot of damage, or if you take your time and charge the shot and hone in on your target, you're going to do a lot more damage and probably get them in one hit. Another thing we've added is a practice mode for FPS. So this is very similar to the free flight mode that you see in Arena Commander. It's basically players can jump in, don't really have any penalties or effect on the leaderboard or anything like that, but allows you to jump in, play around with whatever weapons you want. You can do this with a group of friends or go find a match automatically through the matchmaking system, but just a no pressure zone for testing out all the different mechanics, all the different weapons in the game. Lastly, we've been investigating different ways to communicate damage to the player, which direction that damage is coming from. Traditionally in FPS, as you'll notice, you have these damage indicators that show up on the side of the screen. I know that's something where in Star Citizen you may not always be wearing a helmet, and so some of these indicators don't really make sense, but we are working with the design team in Frankfurt right now on different ways of communicating damage to the player and also communicating to the player when they've done damage to another player, in addition to little blood splats or sparks or anything like that that's coming off the other character. One last thing I want to talk to you guys about. I noticed on the forums there was a thread. Somebody's concerned about my well-being and some burnout. I assure you I'm absolutely fine. I've just been a little bit under the weather. You might hear I'm a little stuffed up and everything. So yeah, don't worry about me. Doing just fine here. All right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you next week.
Hey guys, Jake Ross here, associate producer of the Persistent Universe, and I'm here with you this week to give you a brief update about what's going on here in Austin. We're working on testing the generic instance manager, or GIM for short. It's in testing phase right now, but we're wrapping that up. You'll see the underlying structure of that here in the next release, which should be coming on pretty soon. The asteroid field tool is also beginning work. We'll be using that along with some of the mining prototype gameplay that we've been working on to create asteroid fields quickly and efficiently. So that's in the works. We're also working on the next layout blueprint doc of the next landing zone in the Stanton system. We're kind of tossing ideas around about Hurston and Crusader and Microtech. One is kind of this Bespin Cloud City-esque environment that's kind of up in the clouds, and one is kind of refinery world. It's all fiery and it's got mines that NPCs will go to, and then one's cold, snowy planet. So all of those are within the Stanton system. So we'll be working on one of those next. If you've got one that you'd like to see more than the others, let us know. We'll be taking that into consideration. So that's all I got for you this week. Thanks. See ya.
Hi guys, my name's Ben Curtis. I work over here in the UK in Foundry 42. I am prop lead, and this is
Sarah. I'm a concept artist here at the Foundry. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So we're here to talk to you today a little bit about props. We have the environment team that are kind of doing like an amazing job at creating these worlds. We have the ships teams that are making everything that you guys want to fly out in space, and it's our job to kind of put all the little kind of finishing items and objects into the game that are kind of really going to help to sell the story and kind of guide you guys kind of through the levels and help just to make everything feel a little bit more alive. We're kind of at a point where we're doing a kind of trying to bring the quality of our work up to the quality of the guys that like I say, the other kind of art teams are doing.
Yeah, that's it. We get we get them off Red Hot CG in like a raw format, and then it's my job to make sure that matches what the environment team are doing, like in terms of quality and like sort of like sense of feeling and atmosphere, and make sure that Paul, our lead art director, is happy with them as well, because we want this to be as high quality as possible, don't we?
Yeah, that's it. So Sarah does kind of like, our kind of polished past in house with the concepts. They then come back to us and or come back to me, and Paul does a review of them. We then get the kind of like the 3D team to make them and hopefully kind of match what Sarah's done in concept, and then they then get populated throughout the world, and like I say, just help kind of really bring some of the environments to life. At least that's what we're aiming for.
Yeah, we want you to feel at home and want to be totally immersed in the environments and stuff, and just go up to stuff and be like, oh, what's that, and be excited.
Yeah, that's it. Just like I say, kind of keep you immersed in game.
Yeah,
and I mean,
definitely.
we've been on it. It's a relatively new team we kind of put together in the UK for the prop stuff. We've been on it about 6 weeks. So yeah, hopefully kind of soon we'll have something a bit more exciting to show you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Can't wait. Be
Yeah.
exciting.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right. Cheers, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
The leader is simply outmatching everyone. It's like they're on a whole other level.
Checkpoint. Warning. Collision. 4.
One down.
Complete. Scan. Initiated. Warning. Collision. Stern. Contact. Warning.
Thanks to all our studios from around the world. And now it's over to Shipshape with Lisa Ohanian.
I don't know.
Hello everyone and welcome to Ship Shape. This week we're going to be talking about ship components, so I brought on our ship lead, Ellen Bachier. He's going to be talking a little bit about the ship components that we have going on. He's done a lot of work on them, so I figured he'd be a good guy to bring on and share with you guys. So to start off, Elwin, why don't you tell us a little bit about components and what they are in the world of Star Citizen?
So briefly, components are actually the meat and potatoes of the game, essentially. Everyone loves the ships because they're exciting and they look cool, but ultimately our game really is about components, and the ships are just the thing that you put the components on. So components would be things like power plants, coolers, even weapons are considered components. Every component affects the ship in a different way, and so customizing your ship is all about choosing the right components for the task.
Right, great. So I know that it's still work in progress right now, but I think we have about 9 different types right now, is that right?
That's still in flux,
Yeah.
but 9 is a good number to go off of. Like I mentioned before, we have coolers, power plants, radars, we've got shield generators, we've got ballasts, ammo boxes, all kinds.
You know
of
a lot of them offhand.
Yeah.
I was going to list all 9 of them for a second there. So I know you've done a lot of work recently with helping our concept artists, making sure that these designs come out the way we want them to. Can you tell us a little bit about the 3 concepts we have here today?
Sure. Briefly, I'll just mention that what we're trying to do is establish a general shape language for each component type, so that way when you go ahead and look at a component, you can immediately identify what it is.
Right.
So that way, hey, I know that's a shield generator, I'm going to shoot that thing, or hey, I know that's a power plant, I'm going to shoot that thing. So the 3 that we're kind of working on right now is the power plant, the shield generator, and the cooler, and they do what you expect they would do. So a shield generator generates shield, a power plant generates electrical energy for you to distribute across all of your systems, and the cooler helps you dissipate heat as you use weapons or thrusters and things like that.
Right, and we'll get into sizes for a minute, but the concepts that we're showing today they're the smallest size, right, for smaller ships?
Right. Yeah, so we have, previously we had a spread of about, I think it was about 12
or more,
different
right?
sizes, yeah, which is quite a bit. And if
Yeah.
you go ahead and then multiply that by number of component types, you've got 12 times 9 times however many manufacturers we want,
Right.
which then means we have to create a huge number of components. And because of the way ships were separated previously in terms of what components they could use, it meant that a huge portion of that would never get used by a single player. So we decided that the better option is to still create a huge number of components, but bring the categories down to 4 instead of 12, which
4
now means
sizes, right?
4 sizes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, we're basically treating them as classes. So you have
Okay.
small, medium, heavy, and then capital class component
Right.
sizes.
Can you give an example of like what? I mean, I'm sure most people know already, but like what ship size would fall under each of those? Like some example ships.
So those are still kind of those lines are still being kind of drawn now because
Yeah.
all the ships are kind of getting redefined in terms of how they use the system.
Right.
But a real quick example is you would have a Hornet would have light size components. A Constellation would start going into like medium. An Idris would start using, sorry, not an Idris. I think maybe a Starfarer might
Okay.
start going into like heavy. And then Idris would be capital class.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so with the new system, because we broke it down and now ships end up using more smaller size components. So a Hornet would have multiple light power plants, for example,
Right.
whereas previously it would have a single size 3 or something like that. So this is great for gameplay because it means that now not only all of the components that we have this huge list of components which players have more access to, so all the hard work we do actually gets used. But in addition to that, it also means that all the ships have greater customization. So you can go ahead and have different power plants on the same ship. They don't have to be the same type. So you have more granular control of performance.
Wow, that's great. It sounds like a win-win.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's perfect. We wanted this for a long time. So it's
Yeah.
all still work in progress.
Right.
The system is the system that we want to move forward with.
Right.
But it can still change. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes.
Well, thank you so much, Elwin, for joining us on Ship Shape today. It was great to hear a little bit more about some of the component changes we're making. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Lisa. Now let's go over to James, who is interviewing one of our newest writers, Adam Wieser.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Associate Writer Adam Wieser. Adam, how you doing, man?
Good. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, what you been working on recently?
I work on basically anything lore related, whether it's coming down to writing the kind of like updates for the news post online.
The dispatches?
The dispatches, yeah, they come out every Tuesday. I help with those. With Squadron 42 coming on right now, there's some side work for NPC dialogue or different things like that needs help with. There's when it comes to defining systems, to defining ship manufacturers, weapons, all that kind of language. I'm basically just there to help Dave and Will kind of like just get stuff done that just keeps backing up. There's so much to get done. So when they need a hand, when they need a first pass at something, a lot of times I'll be given that so I can go through and do a first pass and kind of get the ball rolling on a lot of different things.
So, what's your favorite Spectrum dispatch to write?
Ooh, favorite one.
Hopwatch, right?
the booty call is always a little fun because that's the actual kind of like pirate dispatch. So that's fun little play with language and a different kind of spin on things. I also like the journals, like we have a series called the dispatches and journals of different explorers. So the idea is that there are these kind of like almost like capsules that have the journals of these different explorers and the adventures that they go on. And this series basically just it's fun because you're able to actually kind of like get inside the head of the person that's doing the exploration. And I really think that aspect of the game is a lot of fun to dig into from a story perspective.
How hard is it to get up to speed with all this? Because I imagine when you started, I'm not certain how much you knew before, but once you got in, you see how vast it is.
Yeah, I mean, I had read all the dispatches before coming in. I tried to educate myself as much as possible. I read the entire writer's guide a few times to kind of
What a
immerse
professional.
myself. I tried, and then when I came in, I still feel like there's stuff to be learned every single day. There's still stuff to be digged in, and I do think that's still a key element, a big part of my job is researching then writing, is researching what we have internally, the lore, the documentation, the understanding, then looking at what we've published to the public so that I know a perspective of what the audience is going to be bringing, what information they're going to be bringing into it also. So it's always a work in progress, but I think that's what also makes this really interesting, really exciting for a project is the fact that the lore is so deep and it is so varied also that it gives us a lot of different opportunities to explore very cool stories or interesting characters.
So have you touched Squadron 42 at all?
Yeah, I helped with them. There was a lot of, especially in the early stages, as they were getting ready to shoot, a lot of planning that needed to be helped in kind of like figuring out what we had on the page versus how we were going to figure out the time to shoot that. Like I said, there's also a lot of kind of like random lines that you'll get from certain characters on the ship that they needed done. So I would go in and just kind of like do a few pages of if you bump into somebody or if you do this or do that, like how are they going to react to you?
Oh, that's really cool. So it's like situational dialogue?
Exactly, yeah. And each one needed to be kind of like modified through the lens of that character too. So it was about understanding that character in the story, and maybe throughout all of Squadron 42 they've had like 10 lines, but you still needed to try to, in those kind of like small situational moments, try to infuse life into what they were saying too. So it wasn't just another, hey, watch out, or what are you doing, or kind of like the same. It's really easy to kind of get in that again. So yeah, there were definitely some moments in Squadron 42 where they just need a little help like that. So I'd come in and do a first pass on stuff and then pass it off to the guys to go from there.
So have you learned any tricks about what type of dialogue or writing Chris likes?
I think I actually I've learned a little bit more about what Dave likes and what Will likes too, which are the first people that immediately read and respond to everything I do. So. And I do think it is great because Dave is very conscious about making sure that we can bring out as much character as possible, and that we're not just rote kind of like, if it's a Marine, it's not just another kind of like basic Marine, like let's go run, try to stay away from that to a certain degree. He always holds Aliens 2 in high esteem as being like the quintessential genre movie that basically you have the Marines that are saying their dialogue and getting across that point, but they all come from a certain perspective. They all have their own view on things, and striving to kind of make sure that fits into the Star Citizen universe is important and is something that I've really tried to focus on after working with them for a little bit.
So you become so ingratiated in the story. What is one aspect of it you find intriguing on a sci-fi level? Because I imagine you've read a lot of sci-fi. We've all been experienced that, but what is it about this particularly that makes it different? Or a single aspect, I guess.
Well, what I really like about this, and I think why the journal's kind of dispatches are some of my favorite, is the exploration aspect of this game, is the fact that it's a big universe, it's populated by billions of people and aliens and all those different things. But at the same time, you can still be one character or a series of characters going out into the dark and other regions of a world trying to find and explore something new. So I think that's what really makes it exciting, is kind of like being able to write characters that have that ambition or are willing to be like the first explorers that put together a boat and were like, let's cross the Pacific because why not? Let's see what's out there. So from a science perspective, a sci-fi perspective, the opportunities that pop up when somebody discovers something for the first time, whether it's a planet or a different kind of space phenomenon or something like that, I think is pretty cool.
Of the main races, which one are you most interested in writing about? Vandal, Jean, Bennu?
I've been doing a lot of research into the Tavaran recently, which I think is pretty interesting just based on their history.
Yeah, that's my favorite race as well.
So I think from a storytelling perspective, they have the greatest distance to travel, basically, because where they are now at this point is that they're really starting to feel like they can be proud to be Tavaran again, and they can make a name for themselves, and they can try to integrate themselves into the UEE more thoroughly. So I think that makes for a really good, interesting story, and it'll be fun, I think, to explore some of those aspects and some of those characters that come from that over the next little bit. Awesome, man.
One last question: who are the Cathach?
I'm not sure how much I can say about that. From my research, I know a fair amount about them, but just wait.
All right, man. Thanks again for coming.
All right. Yeah, pleasure.
Back to you guys.
Thanks, James. Now let's go over to Alexis with Subscriber Corner.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Subscribers Corner. Today I'm going to be chatting with some more of the folks over at BHVR, and they're going to tell you all about Flare. Hey guys.
Hi Alexis.
Hey. Why don't you introduce yourselves for everybody and tell everybody what you do there?
Okay, I'm Guillaume. I'm game designer here at BHVR.
I'm Ryan McLean. I'm a 3D artist at BHVR.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. Today we've got some questions from people on the forums, so I'm going to start with those. Reek would like to know, in May's monthly report, you mentioned that you're working on personal lockers where players will be able to store and display weapons, gear, and gadgets. Can you tell us more about those, the aesthetics, designs, what you're considering for those lockers?
Yeah, I can give a bit of information about the personal locker. Basically, we're still in the design phase for those lockers. Basically, as we're moving forward with the shopping experience, we know that we're going to acquire some weapons, and there's going to be an inventory, and we're going to need places to store those weapons. So that's where the personal locker idea came from. Right now, we're still trying to figure out the metrics for the weapon, to decide how big is going to be the locker. Where is it going to be? Is it going to be inside hangars, but inside the ship as well? We'll need to be able to do that. And then how many weapons and what type of weapons we'll be able to store in those things, and what kind of functionalities that will come with those, like creating loadouts, saving loadouts, quick loadouts using those lockers, and then what's going to be our needs in terms of interface to be able to do that, and if we're going to reuse those interface for different type of storage system, like for wardrobes, for clothing, for example, we might reuse some of those systems. So we're still in the design phase for that, but it's basically in the pipeline. So there's going to be more information as players are able to have an inventory, active inventory, and persistent inventory in the game.
Mm-hmm. Great. Kappa would like to know what your favorite challenges are when creating art for Star Citizen, and what kind of problems you get to solve.
I think the best part and challenge with it, especially with flares, is that it involves so much more than just the art side. It's UI, 3D, it's programmers, it's designers. So I kind of liken it to if you would have watched like a cooking show. We all have to have our pace, and we all have to finish at the same time and constantly communicate. So it's always a challenge, but it's always the best challenge because we get to work with everybody and see the faces that we don't normally get to see on a daily basis.
How do you guys pronounce is it Puglisi?
It's Pooeasy.
Pooeasy?
Pooeasy, yeah.
Okay.
No L.
No L.
P-O-O-E-A-S-Y. Easy.
Pooeasy. All right. I know last time people were like, you said it wrong, so. All right. Aragon BH would like to know, will we ever have a chance to receive an artifact from a historically significant event in Star Citizen lore? The examples they used were a broken laser pistol or a spaceman's helmet that was used in a UEE war.
Well, actually, it's a good question. Actually, all the Poesie collection items are artifacts. They're basically replicas of objects found throughout the universe. Basically, they're like not museum or collectors, but they're gathering those precious objects, one-off, and they're creating replicas, putting in cases to distribute to the people. So each of them are unique and very rare. Ask for what type of object, because just the question I was thinking that at some point we might introduce objects that have gameplay values, like if it was a weapon, it might become usable. If it's an helmet, maybe it's going to be wearable. Right now it's only for display and showcase. But there's definitely a possibility at some point to have other type of objects as well. But right now, the Poesie collection is really about showcasing rare and artifact objects.
All right, and following that up, Nostromo 1977 asks, speaking of the Poesie collection, any chance we will see an alien creature fossil or alien tablet with language inscriptions on it?
Yeah, well, actually, there's a very good chance of that. Just to give a hint, on the Quasi runes, I think it's pronounced on Terra, there's an ancient civilization that someday lived there, and there's a fragment of stone that was found after hundreds of years, and I think the Poesie collection got end of that fragment, and there's going to be some work done towards that, and maybe that's going to be shared with the subscribers. We gotta stay tuned for to know more about that.
So yes, in a few months, perhaps we'll see something like that.
Yeah, I think they enlisted a master sculptor and the head chair of Linguistic Institute to work on that.
Great. So speaking of that, do you guys want to introduce this month's flare for everybody?
Go ahead. Okay, it's the Vendel armor plating. So basically, it's an abandoned ship, an X-12 Vendel carrier ship that was found and sold in pieces. The Puisi collection got an end of one of those pieces and created a perfect replica to share that discovery with everyone. So this is what the backers and the subscribers are going to find in their hangar this month. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you to subscribers for your questions. If you are a subscriber, you will get this month's Puisi Vandal Flare in your hangar on Friday. If you become a subscriber over the weekend, we will be giving those out on Monday as well, so you have a chance. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Ali. As we mentioned earlier, the content has already been patched into Arena Commander, and subscribers will see it in their hangars starting tomorrow.
That's it for Around the Verse, but Star Citizen continues.
We'll have another status update on Star Marine tomorrow from the folks working to get it out.
And we're unlocking the 300 series for free flight for the next week. These ships will be undergoing a significant revision in the future.
This is actually one we need some real testing on. We are working on a rebalance and update to the 300 series, and we'd like your feedback. One of the things we want to make sure in the future is that how they perform in the game matches the way they were announced. So check back to the original brochure. Remember why you might have picked up a 300 or a 315 in the past, and let us know what you think of them today.
Does that include my 350R?
It does. 350R will certainly be included in that.
Very good. And with that, here's this week's Art Sneak Peek.
Be sure to tune into Reverse the Verse tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific on Twitch. We'll be answering your questions about that sneak peek and all other aspects of Star Citizen's development. Are you going to be on this week?
I hope so.
All right. Maybe Sandy will be there.
Thank you to subscribers for making this show possible, and we will see you next week on Around the Verse.